So I'm excited to hear about the conference and how it was received. I definitely got a boost that day and the following
Mm,
day in
mm,
just website traffic.
mhm, mhm.
Um, and I think for sure one, maybe two people used your code.
Okay.
I feel like that was super cool.
Yeah, yeah,
So I'm very appreciative of that.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, let's start with that. Like tell me about the conference and like
Mhm,
how
mhm.
you brought the game in and how did
Yeah,
it
yeah.
go? How was it received? How was your talk?
So what's interesting, I have a consultation group and a couple, I'm in a consultation group, and a couple of the women who are in that consultation group came to the presentation. And so I actually just got off from there with them, and this is the first time we've met since then. And so they were just like reiterating how much fun it was and how great it was. So it was a really good experience. So I presented at the Virginia Counseling Association conference. So that's the state organization for licensed professional counselors. And my topic was strengthening your intimate connection. So that was the name of it. And so the goal was, for me to help other therapists have some tools and tips on how to help their clients improve their intimate connections with their partners, whether it's individual therapy or couples therapy, whatever type of therapy the therapist is providing. So I typically, because the topic of sex and sexuality can be uncomfortable for folks, I try to also have the therapist to consider what they need for themselves as well. So don't just think about, oh, I can use this for my client. You can also use this for you too. So that's, the gist of how I was presenting it. So I gave a few resources after talking about, what some of the barriers are that we know for people to be comfortable with the topic of sex, the way they were raised, their religion, their societal beliefs, all of that. And then I talked about some practical tips and tools that they can use, one of which was the touchy feely game and the intimacy exploration deck, the card deck that I had developed, as well as some other tools that are more like clinical stuff. So we did what I was able to do is use the one that I have to look at two I we talked about two levels. So I asked a question to somebody that I didn't know in the group, from level one. And then one of my friends that, was also in that consultation group who was in there, I think I asked her like a level three question. And so we were talking about the difference between obviously the questions, the erogenous zones that were, on the card, and exploring what skills now does a person have to use to be able to do this. So we're talking communication, we're talking boundary setting, we're talking their own, introspection for what they're comfortable with. Um, so, the vulnerability piece in answering the question, and then also the vulnerability of allowing yourself to be touched and touching. So, we were just talking about what is tested and how that can help some of our clients um, improve their understanding, about these things. So that's, the gist of how it worked. And people loved it. People were talking about how, it's a practical thing that they can implement in session, like I said, in their own personal lives. So it was really cool.
I love what you just said because you know, there's so much self-esteem that I got from ASECT. You and I aligned so perfectly.
Mm-hmm,
I really couldn't have
mm-hmm.
had a better like booth mate.
Right.
And then I just was so well received. And of course, that was my first wellness conference.
Mm-hmm,
And I mean, if you're
mm-hmm.
gonna be well received, then ASECT is where you want to be received.
Okay.
Um, and so I was so thankful for that. And I wouldn't say I was on a high horse, but I would definitely say I was sailing on a yacht, just with that, like, with that pat on the back from so many educators,
Mhm.
professionals,
Mhm.
scientists, therapists, counselors,
Mhm.
etc. And then I get to an event I did here in Philly. We're pushing the game, and it happened to be at the event. There were an incredible amount of Black therapists there, and same reception.
Yes.
There was one husband that came in. His wife's looking at the game. She's like, "Oh, I don't know." And I said, "Oh, is this your husband?" And she said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, how long have you guys been married?" She says, "25 years." I said, "Well, why don't you buy this game for your wife?" I said, "We wholesale with therapists. If therapists say it's good enough for them, then I'm sure it's good enough
Mhm.
to give, a gift for your
Mhm.
wife." And he said, "Well, I'm a therapist. Talk me through the game." And I said, "Okay." He didn't buy it for him and his wife to play, but he bought it as a utilization tool for his practice.
Mhm.
And for me, that was even better, quite frankly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then this woman came in, this therapist.
Mhm.
She's the first person to argue with me about why the game could actually be a deterrent for people
Hmm.
and actually be more pressure in the negative space
Hmm.
because of that that emotional conversion card. The fact that
Mhm.
you're having to rate um
Mhm.
the fact that you're having to rate someone's answers now
Mhm.
means that a person's going to be judged. And what
Okay.
I was saying to her is that's why you have to be so specific about what you're rating. You're not rating on your expectation of a person. That's judgment.
Yes.
You're rating on what they're actually sharing. That's intimacy. You
Yes.
either shared or you didn't. I'm just telling you if you did or you didn't.
Yes.
We can just not play. You know what I mean? So I'm sharing that with her. And she said, but if I share everything with you and you've not heard it and you rate me a one, that's judgment. And I said, no, that's an opportunity. You have said all of this and I've heard nothing. Maybe we don't speak the same language.
Yes.
And I said to her, and I want to be clear, this isn't a communication game. This isn't
Mhm.
a who said it best. This
Mhm.
is a who's talking game.
Mhm.
Are
Mhm.
you going to open up to me? I said, I didn't call it a communication game because it's not about communication. It's
Mhm.
about intimacy. It's the
Right.
try if you don't have the words, and it's the words if you do have the words, and it's all the details if you have the details. And at the
Mhm.
end of the day, how much can you offer? And so then just a minute ago, when you use the word vulnerability, I thought to myself, you know what? The American public is having such a difficulty digesting the word intimacy because immediately it's sex.
Yep.
Immediately it's sex. I'm
Mhm.
selling sex toys to kids. I'm,
Mhm.
trying to get everybody to be in a poly relationship with me, all
Right.
this kinds of stuff. But as you were using the word vulnerability, I was like, you know what? But that is what I'm hitting on, right? It's a vulnerability game. Do you
Yeah.
have the ability to allow for enough safe space around you and to be one that you can not only open up verbally and your
Yeah.
physical space, but you can synergize that, give it and get it. Most of us
Yes.
can only do one or the other. And it's the
Mhm.
latter that then makes us feel a little inferior. For me,
Mhm.
I love to give advice. The last couple of days, I've been trying to receive advice. And
Okay.
I've been thinking to myself, like, oh, wow, like people have to really love me to be invested in giving me advice because I fight against good advice. And
Mhm.
it's not that I'm not believing the advice. I wouldn't listen to somebody I didn't trust,
Right.
but I have to dismantle the information myself for it to be valid and true.
Yes.
Okay, well, Willie said it. I don't know what the fuck Willie knows. Now let me take it, let me manipulate it, let me test
Mhm.
it out, let me throw it to
Mhm.
other people, let me fight against it in every way possible. Oh, wait, I can't dismantle it. Oh, maybe it's the truth. And then I move forward. But in all of that time that I'm just doing basic science work of, seeing if this applies to me, I'm seeing
Mhm.
how someone else is offended that I've just not taken it as word as bond.
Mm.
But what else are we supposed to do if not fact check? How
Yeah.
does that apply to my life? If I ingested the way every single person saw my game,
Mm.
I would think that I'm a problem and that this game is
Mhm.
not valid.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
vulnerability is really just such a perfect word. And I'm thinking that maybe that's the word I lean into for 2026 because, and all of my considerations, that's the issue is that the
Yeah.
people who fight against the game are the ones who cannot be vulnerable. And
Yeah.
as this woman is literally arguing with me, she's yelling at me. And she's so insistent on her point that this is a deterrent. And, well, what if you're sitting across with someone who feels frustrated by the voting system and doesn't want to talk? And I said to her, well, then you'll know that you're sitting across from someone who won't talk to you.
Right.
That's greater information.
Yes. That, and when we think about what pulls people together to be willing to do something outside of their comfort zone, the willingness to be vulnerable. So if you ask me a question that's on that card deck and there's other people around, I have to decide how vulnerable do I want to be with these strangers? How vulnerable do I want to be with people that I know and love and trust?
Yeah.
And it speaks to the emotional safety, which is a huge aspect of a healthy relationship. If you don't feel safe emotionally with a person, you're not going to tell them your insecurities. You're not going to tell them your desires. You're not going to tell them your fears.
Yeah.
You're not going to tell them your dreams because you don't know how they're going to respond to you. So if you can be vulnerable with that person, that speaks to the trust. And we also know that trust is a major factor in a relationship.
Yeah.
But how else do you build trust? You got to be a little vulnerable.
Yeah.
You have to step outside your comfort zone just a little bit. I have to give you a little bit to see how you receive it and handle it.
Yeah.
So it takes vulnerability to do any of these things.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting that she was basically saying if you're gonna rate them, they're gonna be too vulnerable and they're not gonna want to play.
Hmm.
And you're right. If I don't trust you, I'm not going to want to play this. So now we have a bigger conversation at hand.
Or not, because I'm the opposite.
Correct.
I have decided and I don't think this is for everyone. It takes a certain
Mm-hmm.
amount of confidence and self-esteem and putting yourself out there. I'm vulnerable
Mm-hmm.
with everyone. That's the work for me. But also, it's the game, it's the work.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you ask me a question, I will give you a complete and full answer. Even if the complete and full answer is what ain't none of your business.
Right.
So let me go ahead and serve that right onto you on a silver platter of very vulnerability of and wide open with a beautiful open heart. That ain't
Okay.
something you're gonna receive from me today. You know what I mean? But even in that, but what I shared with her at the end, and she's really huffing and puffing because the thing about the game is that it synergizes. No matter how you debunk it, there's always a way back.
Mm-hmm.
And thank God
Mm-hmm.
for that. And so as she's saying to me, yeah, but this could be a deterrent and people will shut down. And I said, but the only people who are going to shut down are people who are looking for reasons to shut down. There's nobody who wants to be open who isn't going to see this as a pro tool. But anybody any turtle who wants to get back in their shell
Yep.
will use any one of the levels or any one of the rules to be the
Mm-hmm.
reason. And at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day, I'm just trying to show you who you're across from. That's why it's not a
Yeah.
communication game because even in the no communication, there's your information right there on
Yes.
vulnerability. You're unwilling.
Yes.
So maybe
Mhm.
you don't know, and I feel like we do that with men a lot. Oh, they don't know, but maybe they're just unwilling for you or for everyone, for themselves, for nobody. I don't know,
Mhm.
but that's what it
Mhm.
is. And as she's again just ugh, coming at me, I said, "But here's the thing: you're proving my point because you don't believe what I'm saying, but you're
Mhm.
proving my point because you're still talking to me." And
Mhm.
you're engaged, and we are not going to come to a cohesive conclusion. We are not going to end on the same page. I am never going to agree with you. But I am totally understanding that you are vulnerable because you're still talking to me about it. You've not written
Yep.
me off and you've not hit me with that ego shoulder of, ugh, whatever, and just, you know what I mean?
Correct.
And just cut it off.
Yeah.
So we can sit in this circle forever, but that just means we're still just sharing.
Yes.
And at some point, you'll have to just say, you know what? We're not the same, but I understand you. And at some point,
Mhm.
I have to do the same.
Mhm.
And then that's the completion of it.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that's sort of what got her. And that's how we were able to, because she could see that. Because at the end of the day, thank God she's a therapist. I
Yeah.
think on top of that, she really does come from that Philadelphia kind of hard woman stance of like,
Okay.
ain't nobody gonna tell you everything. And I'm like, yeah, but here's the thing: if I'm playing a level 4 with you, I do actually expect it, but by that connection, our relationship, that you will.
Yes.
If I'm playing in level 1, then the assumption is that you're at least excited to give me whatever you can.
Yes.
And I'm not interested in any person who feels like I have to jump over cars to get to their trust. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not interested because I'm human and I'm definitely going to break your heart. I can assure
Mm.
you of that. So why not? Let's just make it so that we can see and read into what we need to see. And so, oh my gosh. Anyway,
Yeah.
so all that I just said a lot, but it's because what you just said was so dead on when you mentioned the vulnerability. I have to.
Yeah.
That really might be the branding in January of 2026 is like, but are you vulnerable? Like 20, right now is going to be the whole new year, new me. Everybody doing the same damn
Mm-hmm.
thing till some new year, new me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's in the vulnerability that you are going to be different.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And it's in all of these different spaces because like I think about how many couples that I see and maybe one person wants to do something or try something, but they're afraid to be judged by their partner
Mhm.
or just individuals, of I want to do this or try this, but I don't know how my family's going to see it or receive it or what they're going to think of me. So you don't feel safe enough to be your authentic self, which takes you being vulnerable. And so we have to ask ourselves, do I still just play it safe with these people? Or do I then start to say, maybe I need a network of people who really respect me, get me, and are willing to take me as I am.
Yeah.
Everybody has to decide what's best for them, to what degree. But, and it's not my place to say, but it's just that's the sort of thing we have to think about because not being able to be myself doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel comfortable. And then when we're talking in terms of intimacy, if you can't be yourself with your intimate partner, what are we doing?
Wow, what are we doing? And can
What's
I
the
tell
point?
you, doing the relationship coaching has really broke my heart.
Mm,
I can no longer lie and sit in my own never naivety.
mm-hmm,
My experiences have been so
mm-hmm,
above board romantically,
mm-hmm,
and I don't date women.
mm-hmm.
Women are just people I admire. They're my
Right.
sisters. They're my,
Mm-hmm,
co-protectors.
mm-hmm,
They're all these things, but we are liars. We lie. I feel like, again, in my personal circle, I get to meet women like you.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
You are very reminiscent of the women I have who I have best friendships with
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
25 plus years of women.
mm-hmm,
Literally, I just got off the phone with one of my good friends of almost of almost 25 years.
mm-hmm,
And she said to me, because I'm pivoting my company and I have to get a job. I'm just in so much debt at this point. I'm like, I have to take a
mm-hmm.
breather. I need to replenish my bank account and I need
Yeah.
to take a freaking vacation. I need to get a proper haircut. I need a facial. I need all those things that corporate America can cover for me.
Okay. Okay.
And so I'm talking to my girlfriend and I said, but I call it, I have one family member. I said to him, I was like, you're my parachute call. If I'm really, really effed up, I'm going to
Mm-hmm,
call you. And
mm-hmm,
the reason why he's my parachute call is because he loves me, he cares for me,
mm-hmm,
but he does not believe in me.
mm,
Yeah. He will give me money, but he won't teach me how to make money.
mm,
He'll tell me I can use his, but he doesn't position me to be able to get my own.
mm.
And when I tell him about my business and how I'm moving, yesterday, even specifically, as he's telling, like, in in very few words, he's essentially telling me that there's this mass amount of money he's willing to give me to help get me out of my financial situation.
Mhm,
But then the advice he gave me on the back end was, yes, of course, get yourself a corporate job, replenish, because of course, at the end of the day,
mhm,
that's going to help you. But, maybe this can just be a passion project. Maybe you'll just have your corporate job and then you'll just,
mm.
spend that money on this passion project.
Hmm.
Totally. And he was like, there's nothing wrong with that. And I actually don't think there's anything wrong with
Right. There's nothing wrong with that.
And he gave me an example of a man who started selling those tough guns, those rug guns, if you want to make your own custom rug.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
He saw that getting really popular on social media, so
Mm-hmm.
he made a YouTube page and he started selling the guns. My friend or my mentor says to me that he was making $250,000 a month selling these guns. Then other people started selling the guns when they saw the trends. Now he
Mm-hmm.
makes between $3,000 and $5,000 a month.
Mm.
So what he was essentially telling me is that example is that even if I do get sort of that crescendo where I'm selling mass amounts, it doesn't mean it's going to stay
Mm-hmm.
up there.
Right.
Here's what. Number one, I have an IP owned product.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not selling something that anyone else can put their hands on.
Right.
I'm not selling
Right.
crochet needles.
Right.
Anybody can get a crochet needle, right?
Right.
I'm selling something that if you touch my stuff, I can sue
Yep.
you
Yep.
and everybody around you. So that's
Mm-hmm.
one. Number
And
two,
it took your brain power to develop.
correct.
It, yes.
And it doesn't exist anywhere.
Yes.
And on
Mm-hmm.
top of the trademark, we're working on a patent. Even the
Mm-hmm.
patent attorneys think there's something here. So
Mm-hmm.
I assure you, it's not like every tough guy,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? But I have an appreciation for how he sees me and I have a respect for him because I'm learning also, and this is through the work of the game and being around people like
Mm-hmm.
you and really listening, is
Mm-hmm.
that I actually can let people be in their proper categories. There are people who love me,
Yep.
there are people who care about me, there are
Yep.
people who trust me, there are people who like
Mm-hmm.
me.
Mm-hmm.
And you can be one of these things and not any of the other three.
Correct.
And that just means that I have to position what your power in my life is accordingly. And
Yep.
for me, all this man can be is the bank because he can't push me forward. He has a daughter. And I think to myself, like, I just feel like this isn't the advice you would give your daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Settle and do this. And if that
Mm-hmm.
is the advice you give your daughter, that's horrible advice. So even with all the accolades,
Mm-hmm.
even with the ASECT approval,
Mm-hmm.
warm welcomes
Mm-hmm.
at SSSS.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
All of these great, brilliant things, but
Mm-hmm.
he can't see it. In his
Yeah.
mind, passion product. Okay, great. Happy at the end of the day, happy that I have a bank. Not everybody has
Yeah.
a parachute call.
Yep. Yep.
Um, but understanding that, okay, I have an appreciation for what people say to me, but nobody's word is bond. And as I'm talking to my girlfriend and I'm sharing to her, what my mentor says, and she
Mm-hmm.
said, "Aren't you so happy we're women who really don't care what people have to say about us?" And I said, very, very, very blessed to have people who are so freaking encouraging.
Mm-hmm.
But also, certain things go right through this ear, right out the other one, and I barely remember what you said because
Yeah.
it is not relevant to me. I
Yeah.
cannot live my life through your eyes. If I did, I'd be
Mm-hmm.
all messed up as a black woman in America.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be somebody's janitor or maid or nanny.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to be really careful. No demonizing because I appreciate what he can
Mm-hmm.
do
Yep.
and just move on to the other thing. I don't see women doing that in their romantic lives. Every
Mm.
word a man says is bond. Somebody calls you fat, now you fat. Somebody calls you ugly, now you're ugly. Somebody tells you as a single mom, now you have lesser value and you believe it? Oh, girl, that's not an external issue.
Yeah.
That's not an external issue.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
all internal work. I
Yeah.
know that if you sit 50 of the most beautiful women in the world, that there's a possibility that if you stand us, if you ask strangers to come in and say, hey, point out the most prettiest, that maybe I won't ever get picked.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no other person's face that I would want but my own.
I love that. Yes.
So what do I care if everybody else gets picked? You should pick them. They're beautiful. But that
Yeah.
takes nothing away from me. And also, if you're putting 50 of the most beautiful women in the room to stand next to me, then that means I'm pretty. You know
Because
what I
I
mean?
got the room.
Right,
Hmm.
because I'm in the room. So,
Yeah.
but that's internal work,
Yes.
internal work.
Absolutely.
And I'm not seeing that with our women. I'm seeing let's judge ourselves off of the point of view of the male gaze and
Mm.
based in how many women now I get to say I'm better than
Mm.
because I hit those pointers of the male gaze
Yeah.
and I'm going to win on those, like on that model,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's not valid and it brings me no happiness whatsoever.
So I think that's a big reason why a lot of the work that I do, regardless of what somebody comes to me for, I don't care if you're coming to me for depression, anxiety, or, sex and sexuality related issues. We have to dig into what's your belief system? Because what you think and believe impacts all of this. Where these ideas come from and do they still align? One of the things you and I had talked about was, religion, and how that has shaped our outlooks on things, right? And even though we may not be aligned with a particular religion, there are still these beliefs that were instilled in us very young, right? And we have to be able to check, when is that the reason for whatever it is that we're doing or not doing?
Mhm.
And does that still align with where we are right now today? If it is, okay, we respect it because we know where it's coming from. But if there's this push pull because it's like, I think it, but I no longer buy into it, but it's still making me pause, we got to do that work.
Yeah.
And that is the same, case with, am I wearing this dress because I like it and feel comfortable, or am I wearing this dress because I know I'm gonna get in for free when I show up in this dress?
Or the gram is going to love it.
Correct.
Because I'm seeing a lot of that. I'm seeing women who look deeply uncomfortable walking down the street or look like they should be on stage, only there's no stage, right? But it is
Hmm.
an effort to get the perfect picture.
Hmm.
Um,
Right. Right.
yeah,
So and here's the thing. If you know that you're doing it for the perfect picture and you're okay with that,
yeah.
cool. I respect it. At least you know the why behind it. I just want people to be comfortable with their why.
I've, it's so funny. So, okay. So with you, it's about understanding what they actually believe, like what the true belief system.
Hmm.
That's so interesting, and that's way more healthy and compassion from where I start. I start with the punch in the gut so that you can already be able to identify, okay, I'm sick. Want to know why? Because somebody
Mm,
just punched me in the gut. And my
mm,
punch in the gut is now, it's not meant to be, but
mm-hmm,
if it hits you hard, then you are sick.
mm-hmm,
And so the one liner I find that I just always start with because I see how it changes the disposition of the call is
mm-hmm,
most times with my clients they're always having conversations about another human being in their lives, right? A
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
partner, a job. There's always some external thing that
mm-hmm,
is the cause of their chaos or whatever, right? And so of course
mm-hmm,
we have to walk that back to how do you
mm-hmm.
self-soothe and how do you
Yep.
stay emotionally stable. But okay, here's this other thing, and I say this: partner, best friend, child, mentor, boss, whatever. Your relationship with said person is a physical manifestation of your own self esteem.
Mm-hmm,
You're dating a man or you have a partner and your problem is that they're very lazy, they don't see you, there's no romance, they ignore you. Typically, that client would then say, "It's my partner's fault because my partner is doing these things or
mm-hmm.
not doing these
Yeah.
things."
Yeah.
I remind my client, well, actually, it sounds like your partner's being exactly who they are, and they sound quite comfortable doing so.
Correct.
Are you the type of person who feels like you deserve to fight for someone to show you attention? I
Correct.
can tell you, I'm the biggest brat in the world. I'm already offended that not everyone is even looking at me right now. So now a person I share a bed with is not paying attention to me in the most intimate of ways, and quite frankly,
Mm-hmm,
all the time. That
mm-hmm,
doesn't work for me.
mm-hmm,
And I am too much for 99% of the planet. I'm okay with that because I think 99% of the planet isn't enough.
mm-hmm,
But I do know that anytime I'm with somebody, they are filling me all the way up to the top because it's all I can handle. It's all I can do.
mm-hmm,
It's all I can work with. Otherwise, I can
mm-hmm,
just sit in the bed, get in the bathtub by myself, have
mm-hmm.
a joint, and watch Married to Medicine. You know what I mean? But so then it becomes that, right? So now you have to
Mm-hmm.
sit in that. What do I allow to
Correct.
happen to me?
Correct.
And and then I talk about fault. The
Mm-hmm,
beauty and the power of fault
mm-hmm,
If you have to take fault in everything, you are the most powerful person in your life.
Mm,
It's my fault I'm this fat. What does that mean? It means I can change it.
mhm,
It's my fault I'm this lean. Why? Because
mhm.
I go to Pilates every day. It's my fault I'm so damn happy. Why? Because I only date men who make me happy. I do not get the only thing I'm dehydrated by is the amount of tennis I play on the court. You know what I mean? And not drink water.
Yeah.
Like I am the fault of my
Mhm,
failures and my successes.
mhm.
And I like myself more than any other human being on this planet. And therefore, no matter how much I admire you, if you cannot see me correctly, then this will not work.
Yeah.
Or I'll put you in this little box called you're the bank.
Correct. Correct.
But
Yeah.
I see how it is simple, but it's not.
Mhm,
The math has to be simple. The equation doesn't have to be. And then I see how, and this is where the work comes in being able to prove that you do or don't like yourself. Now,
mhm.
here come the excuses for why it can't be that simple.
Yeah. Because people get stuck with choice, right? They don't like the choices that they have, so they feel like they don't have one, right? If it's the lesser of two evils, you still chose one. It may not have been desirable. And so what happens is if I don't like them, I feel stuck. Well, you're still not stuck because you could actively pick, or you can just do nothing and
Yeah.
let life happen to you. And that is still a choice.
Yeah.
But that's another, and again, it goes back to beliefs. What do we believe? Do we believe that we do have control over our lives, or do we believe that life happens to us, an internal or external locus of control?
So, what do you do with, because that is such honestly, I feel like that's the pre work, the prereq work
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
the what do you believe? And then because I'm really essentially trying to force people to have my belief system.
Mm.
Right? Because that's the thing is there are a lot of people who I don't want to say they're victims, but they
Yeah.
do a lot of women. I know I used to be this way, where when you're told you're not powerful because here's the predator over here, well, if that's the predator, then I have to be prey, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
therefore, none of my behaviors can be that powerful. So if I curse you out, it's like, what are you crying for? I'm not even that strong, right? Like
Yeah.
we can
Yeah.
sometimes wield way more reckless behaviors because we don't understand the strength of ourselves.
Hmm.
Um, but also, if that's truly how someone feels, as though they are, if their belief system really lends them to believe that the
Hmm.
life they're living is because it's happening to them
Hmm.
and they have no participation, like, what do you do with that? I don't even know if that's someone, if they couldn't get to the other side of that, I actually think that that would be a situation in which I'd be like, oh, you know what? I'm going to have to help you find
Hmm.
another coach.
And sometimes maybe, because then the question becomes, are you really ready for change, right? So if you feel powerless and you want things to change, what would that look like? Like, are you saying that you want everyone around you to change? Okay, cool. So send them to therapy and you go ahead on and like you chill while they do the work, right? But unfortunately, they're probably going to leave you behind,
Mhm.
right? So essentially what it is trying to get their buy-in, trying to get them to find something that they think is within their control and is within their power, and hopefully we can use the momentum of that, right? You got to pick what you wore to work today. Okay. You got to pick how you did your hair. Okay. Like there are some things that are within your control, so let's just play with that. And let's see how that feels. And let's do something different in that area. And then if we can build, then it gets us where we need to be. That's the approach that I typically take with somebody who feels powerless in all areas. So
Yeah.
that's a slow going for sure.
Yeah. And
Mm.
that might also be why the vast majority of my clients are men, is I
Mm.
find that men don't mind that very direct, quite brutal
Yeah.
line of talking. And at the end of the day, man, I find that men are more depressed than they suffer from low self-esteem.
Okay.
So there's like this sort of like lull that they're living in. Whereas with
Okay.
women, I find it to actually be the opposite. Women aren't depressed, or if they are, it's because the self-esteem isn't there.
Hmm.
So you
Hmm.
think you have no choice, you think you have no options. And so now you're
Right.
just oscillating in crap, thinking that your dating pool is trash when really you just aren't looking at all your options. You're
Correct.
taking what you can get, which again comes from
Correct.
that point of view of like, oh, life is happening to me.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I can tell you for a variety of reasons, but I can see it is women only take advice from me when they admire my clothing or when they see my company or if I'm seated next to or posed with a really good looking man that they also wish that they could have. Like if I bring my boyfriend to something, my boyfriend is a very successful man. He's a black corporate person in finance, very, very high up C-suite
Mm-hmm.
executive. So now I look like I might just look like an unhinged person like this. Then I call it the Miss Touchy Feely effect, right? So I get
Uh-huh.
myself dressed with,
Mm-hmm.
the nails
Mm-hmm.
and the makeup and the
Mm-hmm.
outfit or whatever, everything on brand. Then it's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, let's see what she
Because I
got
did
today.
see a picture you were serving. I don't remember which one, but I saw you posted a picture. I was like, okay, Candace, let's
Yeah.
get it.
But it's that
Yeah,
fairy
the
dust
glitz and
effect to get
glamour.
people to see, but like they're
Hmm.
all me. But why
Yes,
do you think that this is supposed to be the thing that you have to consume to believe me?
correct.
Why can't my smile, my glistening skin, and by mere fact that I'm not exhausted and dried up be right? So you have to, so then I have to pose myself in these ways because
Mm,
as women, we can't identify each other anymore
yeah.
unless cosmetics, surgery, or lasers are involved, fashion,
Mm,
like all these sort of like
hmm.
manipulations. But at the end
Yeah,
of the day, even with nothing on my face, there's still a beauty here.
correct.
There's a lightness, there's an energy. I'm not beat up. I still smile when I see strangers come in the room. I
Yeah.
don't make weird faces at children. I'm seeing that a lot lately with adults too. Sort of like looking down on kids and like how messed up of a human adult must you be
Yeah.
that the children, the children. We have 2 more minutes left, but this was so
Mhm.
informative because I'm new to the work
Mhm,
and I'm
mhm.
not book educated in the work. And so I so much lean on you,
Mhm.
um, and other well people to number
Yeah,
one, bounce these ideas off because I try not to talk to my audience about how
right.
desperately sad I find American intimacy to be.
Yeah.
It really feels like what you don't invest in. I wish I had not invested my own personal money in this. This is really terrible. It's so bad. But I feel guilty in saying that, but that doesn't come from my experience. I feel like some people have their individual experience and like, oh, the dating pool is
Mhm.
trash. I'm like, well, you dated 6 people. So yeah, everybody you dated was trash. But now I'm like, okay, everybody I dated was great, but look at how sad people are.
Yeah.
I can't even
Yeah.
say it out loud
Yeah.
because I do feel like people should just lay down and die.
Well, and that unfortunately, I think is just again a reflection of like what is happening in the world around us, right? And people internalize these things that are not within their control. And again, it's like, so I'm gonna take on these big problems that are not necessarily mine to hold, but the things that are mine to hold, I'm gonna pretend like I can't do anything about it. And
Right.
it should be the opposite. You know what? I'm going to put that one on hold and I'm going to manage because, again, you build the momentum and you can start to break down that big problem that's sitting here as you've managed all these little ones that are over here. But
Yeah.
people they don't realize that. It's like they go for the big one up here and it's not creating change. So when we think about it, with any goal, right? We break it down and we start small. That's typically the approach with most things. That's even the approach here. We don't have to jump out and say I'm going to just be the happiest person every single day. I'm going to do a few things to make myself happy. I'm going to do a few things to make my intimacy better. I'm going to do a few things to make good healthy friendships and connections. That if we can do that, we'll get there.
Yeah. Zoom is gonna hang up on me. But this was good talk.
It was, and I'm glad to see you and chat with you. Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm gonna edit this and put this on YouTube today. Do you have a YouTube page?
I don't.
You should
Mm-mm.
create one. Because even if you don't want to post things, they now have a feature where I can just collab with you.
Okay.
And so
All
when
right.
I post it, it'll just go onto your page. And then now
Okay.
if people are looking for a lease, they can just get to you.
Okay. I'll
Just
put that
something
on
to
my
think about.
list.
But I'll send you
Thank
the link as soon
you.
as it